Welcome to the very first episode of Coach Mike with OB. This is a podcast where Coach Mike and I will be discussing NBA and in the future, college basketball. We will be posting every Monday and breaking down the segments into uploadable pieces on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Thanks for watching.
What's up, basketball lovers? This is Coach Mike and OB. We decided to make this podcast for you guys because we love the game of basketball and we kind of wanted to share it with the world. Me and OB have been playing basketball together since we were in sixth grade, and we talk about basketball every single day, and we thought we'd share it with you. So that's kind of our story. We love every type of basketball. Mainly right now, we'll talk about the NBA. We'll talk about college. We'll talk about everything and anything when it comes to basketball that we just have on our minds. So right now, big topics for us right now. The NBA just started. Big teams for us is the Bulls and the Bucks. You know, we're about an hour and a half from Milwaukee, and we're about an hour from Chicago. So we're about midway point between both of them, and we love both of them, both of those teams. And you know, the Bucks won the championship last year. That's something that we'll be talking about, and how much we go to the Deer District to watch those games. And now that with the United Center and the Bulls becoming really great and picking up some good picks, we're going to be going to those games more as well. So you'll be hearing from us when it comes to going to the games and some after analysis. But overall, we just wanted to start this podcast and share our love for basketball, and we hope you guys enjoy it. So.
And even though we love the Bulls and we love the Bucks, we do not try to discriminate against any other team. We try to give every team the respect that they deserve. If they play well, they play well. If they suck, they suck. And we try to be as even and fair to every team. So if you're thinking we're just going to be praising the Bulls every day that we do this thing, that will not be the case. If the Bulls fail horrendously and Zach LaVine decides to take a last second 3-point shot that he clearly should not be taking, we will call that out every day of the week.
Exactly. Yeah. Brock is right. OB is right. I mean, we don't discriminate against any team. I mean, we'll sit here and talk smack about every team, and then we'll praise every team. But overall, we know a little bit about everything with each team, whether it be new players that they picked up, their record, who they have playing next. I mean, we watch basketball every single day, and we basically know every starter on every team, and the trades and the controversy behind everything, and how we feel they're going to do in their respected conference. So, like OB said, we're not going to exclude any team, but we're definitely going to talk very heavily about our hometown teams, but we're not going to exclude any of them whatsoever. So, I guess we could talk about the Bulls to start out. OB, does that sound good?
Yeah, let's start with the Bulls. Let's see what that's they actually did something for the first time in God knows like 7 years this offseason. You know, we've been talking about they needed to make like a really big move, big trade since 2015, even 2016, when they got Wade and Rondo. That after that was like the last big like splash that they did, and it wasn't even like anything at that time. They were both way past their primes. They were on their way out of the league before Wade, and Rondo was in a severe decline, you know, especially after like all the drama that he had going on with the Mavericks at the time. So watching them get Lonzo and Vucevic and DeMar DeRozan like really got me excited for the Bulls again this year. I was so happy with their new general manager trying to like actually make an impact on like this team and getting everyone in the city of Chicago exciting for them.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I mean, the Bulls weren't really relevant until they made the 8th seed with Rondo and Robin Lopez as their center. So that was kind of the last splash they had. And then they had a couple of years where LaVine was kind of leading the team. He didn't really have any support, didn't really have any backup. Now that the Bulls have gotten some new management, they're willing to spend some money. Like you said, they got some great pickups. You know, they got Vucevic the end of last year. Then they picked up, you know, DeMar DeRozan, Lonzo Ball. And then they got some great guys off the bench for them. They got some good young guys with Devontae Green. They got Alex Caruso, Kobe White. When he's healthy, he's going to be something that, he's a spark off the bench. He can do a little bit of everything, right? Like he can play defense, he can score, he can defend the best guy, he can rebound, he can assist, he can do everything and anything that you need essentially as an all-around player that comes off the bench for them. So I think that overall, I mean, the Bulls have started out really strong. They've been tested a little bit, but they've been more resilient. We've seen in the past that, when the Bulls are down, maybe because Zach LaVine didn't have the help, but they were kind of just defeated and they didn't have the strength. That game against New York, they were down by so much and they battled back to get the last second shot, but to miss, but at least they persevered through it. And that game against that last game they had when they were down against the Celtics, they were 19 going into the fourth quarter and they battled back and ended up winning by 12 points. So, I mean, they're resilient and they're going to fight to the end. And I think Billy Donovan, we didn't touch on this, but Billy Donovan as a coach is phenomenal. I mean, his experience with winning 2 college championships, for Florida. And then, he knows how to work with great point guards. When he was with OKC, he was working with Kevin Durant. He's working with Russell Westbrook. So I think that his ability to kind of come in with that experience, and he had being an all-around type of player, knowing both sides of the floor and preaching that. I mean, you see it with the Bulls, Brockton. I mean, their defense is just insane. I mean,
Yeah,
they force guys over, they're transitioning. I think it's going to take some time, but I think they're off to a really great start, honestly.
I think so
Even with
too.
even with Patrick Williams out. I mean, Patrick Williams is going to be out all season, but that's okay because you got some of those younger guys stepping up. And when he's healthy and when Kobe White's healthy, they're going to look to really expand their rookie contract. And I think that they're going to be a big asset in the future.
Yep, I think so too, and I hopefully he's on the 4 to 6 months for recovery, and hopefully it's closer to that 4 months. Maybe he can get back out there and get some length for us. But until then, Bulls are going to be playing small ball, and DeMar DeRozan's been the hero so far the last few games. Uh, that mid range, he's really worked on it the past few years when he was with San Antonio, and he's really gotten better at not stalling the offense like he did back in Toronto, and he has found his role. And I think that might have been the most exciting pickup for me that the Bulls had this year. And we have a lot of young uh players that have a lot of potential that we could, if need be, offer up to other teams to try to fill Patrick Williams's role for a few months until he gets back. And I think one of the things that I've been looking at was maybe doing a Kobe White trade for uh, a big, and hopefully maybe using him as an asset, because since we got Lonzo Ball and Alex Caruso, who are both very good uh, off ball and more assist first players, and we have DeMar and Zach LaVine already. Do we really need Kobe White being an offensive first point guard coming back?
Yeah. I mean, it's a couple things, right? I mean, you look at the Bulls right now, and right now they're a little short in the center department. They really need somebody to kind of come in and be that shot blocker and that rebounder. Right now, Vukovic is playing a lot of minutes for them. And the next center that they have up, I don't even know his name. I mean, I could probably look it up and try to find it, but he looks like a Nick Young, like he's coming in, he's hustling, but he's not that perimeter, he's not that down low guy that the Bulls really need. Vukovic is not a shot blocker. We know that. Vukovic is an offensive double machine. We know that. But with Patrick Williams out, I mean, their perimeter defense right now, the Bulls are stellar. Their perimeter defense is one of the best in the leagues. They're forcing so many steals, so many deflections, but when they get past them, I mean, you really don't have anybody guarding the paint. So I think that when I was reading a little bit, they're going to try to experiment with trying to get Marvin Bagley, and I think that'll be a great pickup for them because he's young and he needs to. He was a second overall pick a handful of years ago, and he really hasn't had a chance to really show that because of injuries. So
Yeah,
I
I was
think
just
that
about to
if
say that. If what would you
yep,
think of a trade of Kobe White with maybe a second round pick or even a first round pick if need be for Marvin Bagley? Get a nice 6'11" 7-footer to help stop up the paint and for Vucevic, and he's out on the bench. And then you're not relying on Javante Green as great of a hustler as he's been. It's hard with him being only 6'5" and just over 200 pounds trying to battle in the paint with a lot of those bigger guys.
it's going to be tough. I mean, like you said, I mean, they need somebody that is willing to come in the game and want to be that shot blocker, but at the same time wants to hustle out there because they need some dudes and some guys that need to just go out there and hustle. And you got Caruso off the bench, right? Like he'll dive on the floor, he'll hustle. You have all the working pieces. I just think that when it comes to the Bulls' depth right now, they're down low. In the paint defense really needs some improvement. So I agree with you. I think trading Kobe White wouldn't be that bad because you already have Caruso and you have a bunch of younger guys on the bench that they haven't really gotten the chance to go out there and do anything yet. So
Mhm.
I think that if you can experiment with Kobe White, I mean, he's a young player. He's a shoot first point guard. If you can get rid of him and maybe, like you said, a second round pick to pick up Bagley, I mean, that'll just make the Bulls even better. And then when Patrick Williams comes back, I mean, he's gonna jump right into that rotation because Patrick Williams in that starting five rotation was the only guy that was defense first. I mean, Lonzo Ball's a great defender, but he's pass first before defense. His defense is second,
Yep,
I would say. So
I agree.
they just really need to pick up another big guy that can just print it. Because I'm telling you right now, Vukovic is playing a lot of minutes. And I think that with Vukovic playing a lot of minutes, he's going to get tired towards the end of the season. He's not extremely young. He's in his early 30s, I think. So he's still a double-double machine and one of the best versatile big men in the league. But everybody gets tired at some point. So they're going to
Mhm.
need to sub him in. And the Bulls, like you said, the Bulls can't play small ball for so long. They're going to be playing teams that are huge. I mean, what happens when they go against the Lakers? You got AD
Yep,
at the 4, you got DeAndre Jordan at the 5, Dwight Howard. I mean, they're going to get destroyed inside.
yep.
So they're gonna need a couple bigger guys. You know what they really need? OBs. They really need like a younger, lankier, like DeAndre Jordan, some guy that's gonna like run the floor and catch lobs, but he'll also play defense and hustle for you. Like they need someone like that. And Marvin Bagley can be that
I
that
believe
spark for
so.
them
I
if they
think that's
can.
going to be the number one pick that they're going to have to try to go for if they want to try to maintain their stability and give Vucevic some time to rest, especially not be playing. How long is he? How many games is he? Minutes is he's playing a game right now?
Vukovic,
Yeah, he's been.
30, 35 plus, I'm assuming.
Let's see.
He's playing a lot of minutes. I mean, he's doing a lot already, and he's not a defender whatsoever. I mean, he's a great spot up shooter from the perimeter for three, which is great because in starting five has some good shooters. I mean, we got mid range shooters like DeMar. We got Lonzo who can stretch the floor and hit threes. We got Levine who can do a little bit of everything. Vukovic can hit mid range and threes. So offensively, I think the Bulls are good. But with Patrick Williams getting hurt, I mean, that brings that starting five's defense down significantly. So if the only way to combat that is really getting a bench that has a defense first mindset, and that spark off the bench already with Caruso is phenomenal. They just need another big guy to complement them. They need at least one guard and one big man for that. Right now, they filled the shoes with Caruso. So that's why I agree with you. Getting rid of Kobe White wouldn't be that big of a deal. But we can't give up any more big men. We legitimately have like three centers, and one of them was playing in the G League, and not the G League. He was playing in the summer league,
Mhm.
and he really hasn't had a chance to shine. It's that dude we picked up overseas like a year ago, I think. He'll do something eventually once he gets his shot, but right now, I mean, they really need like not really a veteran big man, but they need like a middle ground big man that can do a little bit of that. And like we keep saying, Bagley is just perfect for that. He's a perfect fit for that team. And he's not old. He's young. Problem is he's a little injury prone, which happens to a lot of guys
Mhm.
in the league. But some guys get a fresh start with a new team, and I think that they're going to step up and he's going to do something good for them. So I'm hoping the Bulls management can make that happen. I mean, they haven't disappointed us yet. They've had great draft picks. And we're forgetting about Io DeSumi. I mean, we haven't even touched on him at all. I mean, he is basically an Alex Caruso off the bench, just not as experienced yet from what I look
Yeah,
at it. And he's willing to do everything. So I think Io is great. And he's been getting a lot of minutes significantly off the bench. You've been seeing him
he's
and Caruso come off together.
he's
So
been very accurate. 42% from the field and almost 56% from 3-point range. So another thing that the Bulls really need to do with their bench is they need to start trusting their shot more. I read a stat I think yesterday that they were bottom two in like points per game, but they were in the top five of efficiency. So they need to really start cranking it out on the second team because if they're shooting, you know, what they got I would assume he's 56% from three.
he
Caruso's
doesn't take a
42.
lot either. He doesn't
Caruso's
take a lot of
yeah,
threes. The ones that he
Caruso's
takes are good.
41%. Javante Green is 50%.
So they're
Well,
taking they're taking smart shots. For when I hear stats like that, Obrakta, like as a coach,
mhm.
they're efficient.
Yeah,
They know when to shoot those shots. They know when to shoot those shots in rhythm compared to forcing them. I mean, majority of when I watched that Celtics game and they battled back from 19 down, going into the fourth quarter. You saw guys like Io DeSumi step up, attack the basket, and be an offensive threat off the bench and defensively. And when Boston ran that zone, he was spotting up and he was shooting confident with his threes. So it might be just a little bit of confidence that these guys need. And I think Billy Donovan's doing a great job of getting them the minutes to give them the confidence, to be honest with you. And I think Io's a great asset for that team. He's another great guard, like a Caruso that comes off the bench and is just a spark, defensively first, but offensively, if they need him, then that would make sense. So a lot of guys, Matt Thomas, we haven't seen a lot of him. He was a great shooter when they got him from Toronto. He can shoot the heck out of the ball. He just hasn't had his chance yet. So I think the Bulls they have a versatile bench, but their bench is young. And I think that it's going to take some time for them to get in and really show their worth, but it's going to be one of those things where we just need to let Billy Donovan do his thing as a coach, and we'll see it. And we're only we're a handful of games into this season. I mean, besides that Philly game yesterday, which was brutal, or 2 days ago, the Philly game 2 days ago,
and
I
they
forget
still
what it
battled
was.
back. They're playing too much hero ball in the fourth quarter. They need
Yeah,
to be more confident, and they need to be moving the ball and scoring like that throughout the whole game. If they can do it, they can outscore people by what? Will they outscore the Celtics by 30 points in the fourth quarter? It was like 40-12 or something like that.
I think it was like 26-6 or 26-8 or something like that. I don't remember the exact stat, but they were down by 19 in going into the fourth
They
quarter.
were
OB,
down by 14 and then they won by 14.
that's insane. They literally, I think I was
First
reading
team
a
to have done
stat.
that.
Right. Yeah. And I think I was reading it too, that the Celtics had a 97% chance to win that game. And
Mhm.
it's like the Bulls just battled back and they were resilient the whole way, and I think that we saw a similar story. So I think it started out in New York. New York, we were down, we battled back, and we ended up getting the last second shot. We lost, but I mean, it is what it is. Then we took that momentum and we put that into the game against Boston. And then we were down 19 and going into the fourth. We came back and we ended up winning that game by 14. Then it was a similar story against the Celtics. I'm not the Celtics, sorry, against the Sixers.
Mhm.
And we were battling back and forth and whatever. DeMar DeRozan was doing his thing. I think what's going to hurt the Bulls is them understanding, or specifically Zach LaVine. He knows that's his team. They all have come in and said, "Listen, Zach, this is your team. We're going to do what we got to do." But you got to remember that DeMar DeRozan is a 4-time All-Star. Okay,
Yep.
he was one of the best shooting guards in the league still. He's more of a veteran now, but because of his experience as being a dominant player in Toronto and because of him going to the Spurs for a significant amount of time, being a role player in that position. I mean, when DeMar was in San Antonio, he averaged the most assists he has in his whole season because he's an assistant with Greg Popovich.
Mhm.
So now that he's gone to the Bulls, he looks at it as another scoring opportunity for him to step up and not necessarily take any shine away from Zach LaVine, but he's just a veteran and understands situations like that. And I just saw Zach force way too many shots against that game in Philly. He forced way too many shots.
Yep.
And there was a lot of shots that were very questionable down the stretch that should have been in DeMar's hand. To be honest with you, it should have been, because I don't think Zach's in that situation yet. He's not even a max contract player yet, let's be honest. And he probably will be by the time his contract's up. The Bulls will give it to him. I don't think it's going to be another DeAndre Ayton situation where he's just frustrated they haven't given him a max contract yet. But Zach LaVine is the face of that franchise right now. And DeMar is a veteran coming in, looking to make some extra money, which he did. And now he's going to be an offensive threat. Same with Lonzo Ball. So everybody there has a purpose. I just think it's going to be a little difficult for Zach to really relieve some of that at first. I think going, more into the season, he's definitely going to be more comfortable with giving the ball to DeRozan and letting him do his thing, because right now he's automatic from mid-range. The way DeMar DeRozan is playing right now, he's all-star caliber player. I mean, he's phenomenal. So I really think the Bulls have some opportunity here, and they can really, in my opinion, they're probably a top 6 team in the East, which is enough to get you to the playoffs, of course. But like I said, they really have to gel. I mean, they're a relatively new team, OB. I mean, think about it. You got
They're
Vukovic coming in at the end of the season. And besides that, they traded away a lot of guys. They traded away Thaddeus Young. They got rid of Saturansky. They got rid of Garrett Temple. They got rid of a lot of guys that were veterans that were showing their worth. Then they replaced them with these mid-level guys like Lonzo Ball and Caruso. And now they just need some time to gel. And guys like Vukovic and DeRozan are perfect veterans for that team because they're not like extremely old out of their prime yet. They're just like at the peak of their prime. So I think they're going to be pretty good in the next couple of years. I don't think they might make it past the first round this year, but the next 2 to 3 years, they could really be a top 3 team in the East. I think so, depending on if Ben Simmons stays in Philly, which is another topic for another day, but
Yep. Well, we'll see. But talked about the Bulls for quite a bit. Let's change up the subject. Let's switch over. What's your most disappointing team to start off the season so far?
That's a tough one, OB. The most. Let's go by conference because that's too many teams. Like, pick a conference.
Let's go Western first. I've got
Who's
my
the most-
Eastern one set up.
Really?
Yep.
Western. Who do I feel the most disappointing in the West right now?
Who has had the most disappointing start for you in the Western Conference?
I mean, it's gonna be pretty obvious for me, but I'm gonna go the Lakers, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I think the Lakers I think right now there was so high of expectations for them, right? Like they were like, these guys are going to come in. They've all signed 1-year deals. Majority of these guys were 2010 All-Stars. They're going to come in and then they're going to just dominate. Well, the realization is even though they're all All-Stars and even though they're veterans of a team, they still need to build some chemistry and learn each other's tendencies. And I think that, Westbrook coming in, he's my opinion on Westbrook. I mean, he's a hit or miss. Then you got LeBron missing games, by the way. Then you got AD, you got Dwight Howard. I mean, you have a lot of great pieces on that team. I think when they get it going, they're going to be a successful team. But right now, even Carmelo's on that team. But I think right now they have had the most disappointing start. I mean, they lost to OKC twice, OB. OKC is arguably the worst team in the West.
But LeBron was also out for both those.
But it's still you have Anthony Davis and Russell Westbrook who are Hall of Famers in a top 75. Like, you still shouldn't be losing to guys like, I mean, Shane Gilgeous-Alexander, great player.
But let's be realistic about Westbrook. He's a stat stuffer. He no matter how good he plays in the past, when he was at OKC without Kevin Durant, once he became the triple double man, he got triple doubles for like half the season. I don't remember
which one.
I don't even remember which season it was, but I remember
he averaged his MVP season. He averaged a triple double the whole season.
The whole season?
The entire season.
Yeah, and how many wins did they have?
Not a lot. Yeah. That was when he was okay. That was when he was OKC doing his thing. And like I said, his numbers his rebounding stats are inflated because they would literally wait for him to get a rebound.
I would almost call Russell Westbrook a wash for the Lakers. Like, he's gonna hurt you just as much as he helps you. I would almost say he's an all-star and he'll give you points, he'll give you numbers, but he's also going to give you a lot of turnovers. I mean, the fact that he's got the most like quadruple, like triple doubles with 10 turnovers, that's in NBA history. He's got 8, I think, right now, where he's had a triple double with 10 turnovers. And then the next one behind him, I think, is James Harden with like 3, and then there's like 8 people tied with 1.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
then also, I like to put it like this: the Lakers literally looked around the league and went, "Who was an all-star between 2011 to 2014, and are they available?"
Right. Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, the Lakers are. I think when they get their stride going, they're going to be a top 5 team in the West. But they're
top 5 right now.
Yeah, but season just started, but they're in my opinion they're the most disappointing. Now in the West, the most surprising team I would say right now is Golden State. I think Golden State. Oh my gosh! I mean, the pieces that they've picked up and that have adapted without Klay Thompson in the mix, they're really, really good. I mean, you got Draymond, of course, he's going to do his thing. Steph Curry, best shooter ever.
Yeah, Draymond's looking healthy this year too. He's looking like the hip's not bothering him anymore.
Yeah,
he looks like he's lost weight.
They've really surprised me because you got guys like Jordan Poole who have been
Yep.
insane starting in place of Klay Thompson. And gosh, who's that guy they picked up? He's hurt. Not Winslow, the other guy. I don't know. They picked him up. He was like a second. He was a second pick, but he's hurt right now, and once he gets going, that starting five is good. Andrew Wiggins is playing really well for them. So
Yep.
I would
Andrew
say out of
Wiggins
the
found his spot.
I think Golden State is the most surprising team for me out of the West. What about would you agree?
I would say definitely Golden State most surprising, but I would say the Nuggets have probably been my most disappointing team in the
Really?
West right now.
The
I mean,
Nuggets.
they don't have Murray still, but they played a
Mhm.
lot of last season without him. So they should already have a good game plan chemistry. Jokic went out against the Jazz and they were looking really good that game. Like I take that loss. But the fact that you're 4-4, I mean, not even who have their
Well, you
games
mean
been
if you look,
against?
well, even with that being said, I mean they just extended Michael Carter Jr.'s Michael Porter Jr.'s contract,
Yep.
and he is supposed to be this lethal weapon off the bench, and his numbers have increasingly declined since he's started this season. I
Mhm.
mean, the Nuggets just you're right. I think I can agree with you with that. The Nuggets are just I don't know what they're doing. I
I
mean,
mean, they lost to the Grizzlies twice.
it's bad.
Hang on. Is that preseason? No, November 3rd. So they lost to the Grizzlies 2 days ago. They lost to
Mm,
them on the 1st. They barely beat the Timberwolves, which they should be outplaying the Timberwolves.
Timberwolves.
They
Ugh.
lost to the Jazz, which Jokic went down and he was killing it that game. They lost to the Cavs, who, I mean, they should be outplaying the Cavs. Cavs are a young team that I think are playing a lot better than they should be.
Yeah, for sure. The Evan Mobley guy is playing out of his mind right now. I think Evan Mobley's a great pickup for them in the draft. I mean, they're good. You know, the Cavs are young and they're just trying to find their niche in the East. But the Nuggets got to get it together. I
But I
think when
mean,
Jamal Murray gets back, they'll be good.
you lose to the Grizzlies twice. I mean, Grizzlies have a
Grizzlies are a sleeper
decent.
team, though.
They are a
Grizzlies are a
sleeper
sleeper team
team,
in the West. John
but
Moran ain't messing around.
I mean, Ja's really playing out of his mind. Culver's playing good. You have Tyus Jones. I mean, you've got good players there, but
They got
the
Steven Adams
Nuggets,
too. Don't forget about Steven Adams.
Steven Adams, I think is really what has boosted them this year. Gives another rebounder and a good person that's really good at setting screens for John Morant to really get to the basket. But man, the
Yeah.
Nuggets just I had so much more expectations for them this year.
Well, it ain't over. It ain't over yet, man. The season just started, but you're right, just a start. And then switching gears to the East, I would say the most surprising team that I've seen come out of the East has been the Wizards, to be honest with you, man. That's my opinion. The Wizards coming in, everyone's like, oh, how are they going to gel? Kuzma played like crap when he was with LA. Montrezl Harrell is used to being a six man. You got Spencer Dinwiddie coming off an injury. You got Bradley Beal that's willing to stay, which kudos to him for grinding out and sticking with the process. But they have done a really good job on that team. They have a really great starting five, very underrated starting five that I don't think a lot of people are talking about. You got Spencer Dinwiddie at the one. You got Bradley Beal to two. You got Hachimura still out, right? I think he's still out. So he might be or he might not or not, but he's a starting three in that team as well. You got Montrezl Harrell and Kyle Kuzma. I mean, that's a solid starting five right there in the East. And they're both young and veteran. So with that being said, I think the Wizards are a real shock. I mean, I still think after everything they're the top 17, but another team that's really surprised me, which I don't know why they are, but they do, but is the Miami Heat. Miami Heat, I didn't think how Kyle Lowry was going to come in and gel with that team, but I realized, dude, they have a phenomenal bench. They have a great coach. I think Spoelstra's a phenomenal coach. He's been there forever. And then they're just an overall great team. Bam Adebayo is an all-star. You got Jimmy Butler, arguably a top 3 two-way player in the league still. Kyle Lowry is a veteran point guard. You got Tyler Hero off the bench. You got Duncan Robinson shooting. I mean, they're right now, they're a top 3 team in the East, hands down. They're arguably the best team in the East right now. Honestly, they are.
Yep. and they're at a 6-2 record right now. They've lost to only a couple teams. So, well, who have they lost to so far?
I don't know. Couldn't tell you.
They've lost. Ooh. They lost to the Celtics yesterday, which the Celtics, after Marcus Smart got on Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, and
Yep.
probably got them going.
Good.
And then the only other team that they have lost to so far this year was the Pacers. So really, like, odd teams. The Pacers is an oddball team to lose
They
to,
are.
but that was
The
in
Pacers
over.
are not
But that
bad.
was an
Pacers are a
overtime.
sleeper team.
They
I
are.
think Pacers are I would say the top sleeper teams in the East right now would be them. Would be the Pacers and the Hornets. I think the Hornets are a sleeper team right now. We haven't touched on the Charlotte Hornets, but they're young and or veteran with like Gordon Hayward, and Miles Bridges is really stepping out of his shell right now. So that's another sleeper team. To be quite honest, overall, we talked about it the last couple of years. The East is kind of like, oh, they stink. But East is not messing around anymore.
I think
They
the East
are,
has finally
yeah.
taken over. I think most of the East teams are better than most of the West teams now. I
Oh yeah,
think
for how they started out,
I
yeah.
think it has really flip flopped in the past year and a half or 2 years, where the East is just a lot of teams are just cranking, and they're playing. The teams that are playing well, they're playing really well.
Yeah, and the teams in the West that are supposed to be playing well are not. We forgot about a big team, OB, and that's the Portland Trailblazers. And it's looking pretty obvious right now that Damian Lillard might want out of there. I don't know why, but I just feel like his stats are not there. And I think his time is done there. Honestly, like Portland should be playing a lot better than what they're looking right now. I mean, he has all the pieces. You have all the pieces. You got McConnell. You got what's his name? The big dude down low that was hurt last year. LeBron dunked on him so bad. Nurkic. They have him. They got some great pieces over there in Portland. And they got Robert Covington, who's a great two-way player. I mean, I don't see the problem with Portland. They're just not playing to their potential, to be honest with you.
I mean, if you're looking at Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum, Damian Lillard has put a lot of miles going in, and he's already gonna be 31. He's 31 right now. He's been playing a lot of hero ball in Portland. He might just be in the limit where he needs another true all-star on that team.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, he's
CJ
been
McCollum's not an all-star.
um,
Any other team in the league, if he was there, he'd be an all-star hands down. He's just it's not. He's sharing the hero-ness with Damian Lillard, and that's what it is. But another team too that I just thought of that has kind of surprised me is the Clippers. The Clippers, we expect the Clippers to be good, and I think that Paul George is picking up and being that dominant player like he was when he was with the Pacers, and he's holding the fort down until Kawhi Leonard gets back. Because I'll tell you right now, when Kawhi gets back, the Clippers are going to be Clippers, in my opinion, if they're fully healthy, they're the best team in the West, personally. And I'm not being biased because I love Kawhi Leonard, but they have every piece on that team. OB, they have everything. When him and Serge Ibaka come back, and you add Terrence Mann to that equation, you add Reggie Jackson, they have so many great guys off the bench, even that some young guys that they had in the summer league that they've brought up. Their whole team is just stacked. To be honest with you, I mean, look at their roster. I mean, they're killing it right now. Paul George is averaging the most points in the NBA right now. He's picking up the slack for with Kawhi being out. But when Kawhi and Serge Ibaka get back healthy, it's a very deadly team in the West. And I think that, to be quite honest with you, my late prediction, it's going to be the Bucks and the Clippers again. Well, not again, but it's going to be the Bucks and the Clippers in the final, honestly, because I don't see the Phoenix Suns doing what they did last year, to be honest with you. Even with signing Chris Paul to that extension, they picked up nobody. They picked up Landry Shamet and they picked up JaVale McGee.
Yeah.
Those are not key guys that are going to get you out of the West, even with the West playing as crappy as they are.
Yeah, Paul George is killing it right now. He's number one in the season in points at almost 29 points a game.
28-6, something like that,
28-9.
right? 28-9. He's right there then. Wow. Paul George, I mean, he was complaining about the ball. I mean, like, oh, we switched from Spalding to Wilson, and it's messing up my 3-point percentage. Yeah, it's messing up your 3-point percentage, but guess what? You're still the number one scorer in the NBA. So, I don't know why there's any controversy behind that. A ball's a ball, but everyone's different. Whatever. It's just what I see when I scroll down the social media. But
Mhm.
it's I don't know. I'm excited though. The NBA is exciting right now, Brockta. It really is. I mean, there's just so much going on. A lot of all these teams are stacked. The only team I can look at that I'm like, that's going to be rough for a couple of years is the Magic. They need something there, man. I mean, it's bad over there. It is. I honestly think if me and you suited up, we could probably come off the bench for that team. That's how bad it is right now. They're really not that good. I mean, Cole Anthony is great for them. Wendell Carter, he's signed a little bit more money to stay there. He's young, but if they want to be successful, man, they really need to get somebody and somebody soon because I don't see them being good for the next 10 years.
I don't know. Yeah, Magic are looking rough. Pistons are looking rough. See how the Pelicans with Zion and his foot injury.
Oh
We'll
gosh.
probably get into that more another day with his weight and trying to he's pushing 285 now. I think
No, he's 320.
320 now.
He's 320. Last time I looked and I'd heard he was 320 pounds. He legitimately looks like Shaq and Charles Barkley's kid. That guy, he's massive, Obrakta, and he's only going to put more stress on his knees. It's just, Shaq, nobody's broken a backboard than Shaq. I mean, he's going to do it when he steps on the court. I mean, he's just, it's just too big. They need to manage him because without the Pelicans, yeah, they got Brandon Ingram. Yeah, they got Valanciunas. Got a couple decent young guys they got from the trade with the Bulls, but overall, man, Zion is their all-star. I mean, he needs to get it together and fix that foot injury and get back out there. He needs to lose about 30 pounds, at least 30 pounds. And
right now, according to the internet, last reported weight on Zion is 284 pounds. His listed weight on NBA, I think, is 260.
well, they're generous because that's not true. There's no way. That guy's got to be that guy's a 300 range. No way. I don't check the height on NBA too. They say a lot of guys in the NBA are 6 foot just to like put that cap. But I see some guys running around like Campazzo on the Nuggets. He's my height, easily 5'7", 5'8". So I don't believe that. Zion Williams is massive. So
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm just being a jerk, but I don't know, man. They just Pelicans got to figure it out, man. They're in a bad situation right now. They really need to get it together.
yep.
A lot of teams need to get it together in the NBA, but there's a lot of teams that are really showing their worth right now. Pelicans are not. Hornets are looking really well. Indiana's doing really well for the expectations, and a lot of teams. So I haven't heard anything about the Kings. How are the Kings doing?
Kings right now are 4-4.
That's okay though.
Right now they are winning tonight. As the
Who they
moment,
play?
the Hornets.
Are they playing tonight?
Hornets.
I'm
They're
playing the
up
Hornets.
83-64 as we speak. But I mean, as of right now, they've beaten the Pelicans. They lost to the Jazz barely. They barely lost to the Mavericks. They beat the Pelicans a second time. They beat the Suns. They lost to the Warriors, the Jazz again, and they beat the Trailblazers.
Interesting.
I mean, they had like 2 really easy wins against the Pelicans, and then they were hanging around with the Jazz and the Mavericks for a little bit. So we'll have to see where they end up at.
Yeah, I mean, once again, jumping into talking about, I think Ben Simmons needs to go to the Kings. I think he's just a great fit there, and I don't know what's going to happen with him, but they don't want him back in Philly, and he's not mentally ready, which is of course another subject we can talk about later on. But right now, I mean, he mentally needs to get ready because They need him out there. The Sixers are not going to be a successful team if he's not out there. It's kind of like what's happening in Brooklyn right now. Brooklyn is not doing what they're supposed to be doing because they don't have Kyrie Irving out there.
Yep.
And if Kyrie Irving was on that team, they're arguably the best team in the East compared to the Bucks when they're fully healthy. I think those two are the best. But the Sixers without Ben Simmons is just it's just not going to work, man. I think he needs to go to another team and start
I think the Sixers
build
have
up
been
something.
playing better without Ben Simmons.
Probably. I mean, Ben
really
Simmons.
do feel like they've gotten off to a really good start. I mean, they're 6-2 right now. They barely beat the Bulls, and the Bulls have been a sleeper surprise team as well. A lot of people were doubting them with their defense, and we already talked in good detail about that. But they beat the Trailblazers. They beat the Hawks.
Hawks are another team. We haven't even touched on the Hawks. There's so many teams to touch on, but go on.
I mean, they barely lost to they did okay against the Knicks. They barely lost to the Nets. I mean, it's not like they've had some pretty good competition this year, and I think that Embiid's knee was bothering him, but I think that they're looking pretty good. I think without Ben Simmons hogging the ball, I think they've got better ball movement. Seth Curry has really been shining. He's been
you're right. I forgot about that guy.
He's been
one of the most effective shooters in the league right now. One of the most effective scorers in the league right now. I think his percentage is through the roof. So
I think with him being there and Ben Simmons not, you've got an extra shooter and an extra ball passer, and Embiid doesn't have to float around the 3-point line to give Ben Simmons space to drive to the basket, and Embiid can run the high post and be almost like a point forward.
Yeah, and they got Korkmaz too. Korkmaz is a sleeper on that team. You got Tobias Harris. So I think the Sixers are good and they're well coached. I love Doc Rivers. I've always liked Doc Rivers. I think he's a great coach, but they're showing that they're better right now, Obrakta, because the season just started. But I really think down the stretch, they're going to need a pass first point guard like Ben Simmons. Right now, they got running the point. They got Seth Curry running the point. I mean, he's definitely not a pass first. He's a shoot first type of point guard. So, I mean, if Ben Simmons can get it together, but I really don't think Ben Simmons is going to be accepted back into Philly, and B, I don't think the team wants him there. So I think he needs to find a new home, to be honest with you. But I don't know of anybody that's gonna buy out his contract. I mean, that's big. He's got like 4 or 5 years left on his contract in Philly. So maybe the Magic can pick him up. I don't know. They need something. But right now, Philly's playing great. I agree with you, but I think down the stretch, I mean, they haven't been tested yet. I want them to be like fully tested. Mm-hmm. So once that happens, then we can make that decision. But I don't know. I think Kyrie Irving is more needed on his team than Ben Simmons is needed on the Sixers for sure.
I think so. And I think the rule changes with the non-basketball move fouls being taken away, which has really cleaned up the game and really made the games better, in my opinion, has really affected Harden, because that's was his bread and butter of manipulating the game to get to the free throw line. And I think Harden will learn how to get better with it. But right now, I think he's just struggling. He's not able to go to his normal bag of tricks of drawing fouls.
But throwing his body into the defender, trying to draw a foul.
Hooking arms and all that good stuff. But I think it's for the better. And I think Harden will be a better player for it once he figures out how to work around that again.
Who knows, OB? Maybe he'll start playing some defense.
Never. Harden defense, never.
Harden and defense are not something that goes together. No way.
All right. Well, that was so you got the Wizards as the surprise favorite, and who was your
surprise for the West?
Your favorite for the East was Wizards. West was Warriors.
Disappointing team was Lakers for West. I don't think I talked about a disappointing team in the East. Did I?
I can't remember. We went on this for a while.
I don't remember if there was any. I don't think any team is disappointing in the East except for, I guess, maybe the Detroit. Because they're like, Cade. But I'll tell you right now, man. Cade Cunningham, I think he's going to be a bust. Honestly, I just don't see him being what he's supposed to be. I think Jalen Green is going to win Rookie of the Year. I think him and Josh Giddey are absolutely killing it for rookies right now. If we're switching the topics right now about rookies, those two rookies are doing phenomenal. The rookie from Toronto and the rookie from Indiana are killing it right now. So Cade Cunningham, I know he was injured. He just got back from a couple games. It's going to take some time for him to develop in the NBA. I totally get that. But overall, I just really think that he's not going to be what Detroit needs. And Detroit's another problem. And they got some okay pieces, but it's not looking good right now for those guys.
Yeah, I agree. And I unfortunately was not able to watch the NBA draft this year, but
I watched very little of it.
you know,
Very little.
so I don't know all the rookies at the moment, unfortunately.
It's all right. We're not mad at you, OB. It's okay.
I'm gonna get hated on. Who is your favorite six man? We'll make this our last topic. Who's your favorite six man at the moment?
Oh, Alex Caruso by far. Sorry,
Really?
that's biased as hell for me, but Alex Caruso, I mean, he is just once again, Bulls spent the money. They got a great guy off the bench like Alex Caruso who will do a little bit of everything. And he's a fan favorite, man. I mean, when he makes a shot, it's just boom right here on the headband. I mean, I love that guy. So I'm biased. Yeah, I mean, I'm biased, but I think Alex Caruso is a phenomenal sixth man right now. In the East. Sixth man in the West. I got to go with Jordan Clarkson once again. I think Jordan Clarkson, he's just an offensive monster off the bench. I mean, he's a real spark. He reminds me of like a younger Lou Williams type, like when he won sixth man of the year and he would just come in and be that offensive spark. I think for Jordan Clarkson on the Jazz now, he is, in my opinion, a great sixth man personally. What about you? What do you think?
I'm definitely gonna go with Tyler Hero.
Yes, that's a good one too.
That man has impressed me so much this year.
He worked on his game. Yeah,
he is on most nights outscoring most of the starters, like minus Jimmy Butler, and sometimes he's even outscoring Jimmy Butler. He's had a dip last season, and I think this year he has come in. He worked on his game. He's accepted the role as sixth man, coming against the second roster, fresh legs, and he's just been balling. I think he's just been absolutely fantastic. I have almost nothing to say about how bad he's been. Like how he's just been so great.
Yes, Tyler Hero's improved his game, and he's a very, very good player. And if the Heat don't give him some money in the next couple of years, he's going to be gone. He'd be a real asset on a good team. He'll be a starter on any other team in the league, I think, in the next couple of years. What about the West? Who do you look at in the West and you say this is a great sixth man?
I don't even know.
I know when I think of the West, I think who's the sixth man in the West?
Right. Is who's coming off the bench for Golden State right now?
A lot of guys.
Yeah,
a lot of guys. I don't know. I don't even know off the top of my head who's coming off the bench for the Golden State. I mean, it's not Wiggins, it's not Poole. They're starting.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, I thought one of them was going to be coming off the bench, but I'm like, oh, they're both starting.
When Klay Thompson gets back, Poole's going to be the sixth guy off the bench for them for sure. Once Klay gets his groove back. Six man's in the West. Yeah, I thought of Clarkson because of last year, and I just been watching him play, and he's that offensive firepower. He's definitely that spark, but right now in the West, I mean, the Lakers. I mean, who's the Lakers six man right now? I mean, it's just
Dwight Howard,
Carmelo
Anthony,
Carmelo.
I mean, Carmelo's been turning back the clock. He's been lighting it up from the last couple games.
I mean, Carmelo's good. I mean, he's going to get his points. Like, that's not the problem. He plays no defense. That's a known fact. And
yeah, well, if you're coming off the bench and you're hitting your shots, I mean, he's getting 17 points on 52% from 3-point range, shooting 50% from the field. That's a great off the bench person. I
Yeah.
think he's really actually this is probably his best year I've seen from him in a long time.
No, that's good. Yeah. I would say, if we were talking about the West and like six mans that were supposed to be good, Michael Porter Jr., which I've already touched on, but him off the bench should be, oh my gosh, he should be putting up massive numbers for the freaking contract extension they gave him. They gave him a lot of money, man. A
Right. I mean,
lot. I mean, he probably turn it on a little bit, but like he's a great guy to pay that money for a six man to be off the bench. I'm trying to think of other teams in the West that have six mans that are like known for worth recognizing and worth talking about, but I can't think of any off the top of my head, to be honest with you, man.